I wanted to make a dedicated video just on the Empyrean Court or the court cards in tarot because court cards in tarot in general is considered notoriously difficult, and I didn't make it any easier with the way I interpreted the Empyrean Court. But I was going to die on this hill. This was very important for me to do it this way. And so I wanted to be able to explain myself or just talk about the court cards in the SKT. The four archangels, always designated by a magic square front and center and starburst halos around their heads, always mean that you are amplified by the powers of the universe. They can also show you what type of magic you want to activate to get what it is you seek. They reaffirm that you are a sovereign over certain incredible powers and to tap into those powers now. These four magic squares, or the four archangel cards, invoke or evoke, depending on what's necessary or what's needed at the time, the exalted states, the four highest ranking directional angelic powers, or the four elemental powers to come into your life. The Archangel of Glory, academic achievement, high achievement in scholarship, in arts and literary endeavors, music as well. Anything you would think of in terms of liberal arts or academia, there's great achievement, great potential that will be translated into or converted into activated powers for you. The Archangel of Glory is synergetic, creative powers aligned with the universe. King of Cups, Archangel of Healing here, represented with a little bit more of a feminine presentation to show the compassion side, to show that introversion. So this is what we would consider a gentler energy. This is healing. This is mastery in the field of medicine. This is science used for good, science that is used to heal, repair, fix, that kind of an energy. Psychology, empathy, psychotherapy, any of those callings that are about healing or mending that which is broken. I don't see science and intuition as on polarities or opposite ends of a spectrum. I see them as working in collaboration, and there are different ways of approaching science. I think anytime you are going to get innovative, when you're talking about the cutting edge of science and innovation and medicine, it requires intuition. And so this is that intuitive energy that takes something to the next level. This is also going to be a card that prophesies advanced spiritual development. The Archangel of Healing appearing to you is an affirmation of alchemical intuitive powers aligned with the universe. The King of Cups, even if masculine presenting on the outside, somebody who's a King of Cups physically is usually someone very Piscean, right? Lots of Neptune energy or Cancerian. That's the vibe you often get. And there's a feminine construct there. I'll give you an example. My dad is a King of Cups in the tarot, if you're talking about significator cards. Outwardly, my dad's very macho, very masculine. So we are not talking about physicality here. But inwardly, he's really a sensitive guy, especially if you compare, if you want to get social, if you compare him to most men, he, even though looks very macho and masculine on the outside, in terms of his personality, he's a lot more sensitive and artistic and creative and compassionate and kind. And he has a very gentle nature to him. He's really into the arts and culture and philosophy. He's deeply intuitive and spiritual in his own unique way. He's a guy of science. He is definitely a man of science, but he's the creative type of science, the intuitive type of science. There's a spirituality to the way he approaches logic, science, innovation, and high technology. He's a dreamer. So because of that particular portrayal I have for the Archangel of Healing comes through in the King of Cups. Archangel Commander is that warrior general energy. This is someone called to be a powerful gladiator, an advocate, someone called to fight on behalf of those who are unable to fight for themselves, to advocate on behalf of those who don't have the ability to advocate for themselves. The Archangel Commander, the King of Swords, will appear in your reading to affirm that your intellectual, assertive powers are perfectly in alignment with the universe, with God, Spirit. This can also be an omen that the Archangel Commander, as a guardian angel, has descended down to ensure your success through these storms and battles. The Archangel of Mysteries, who also happens to be the guardian angel over the tarot, is a very powerful card that represents mastery of the material physical world. It's being able to coalesce everything in the intangible world and distill it into something that will bring productivity and prosperity in the material and physical world. The Archangel of Mysteries is the problem solver, solving mysteries. This is when your industrialist powers align with the universe. Not only do you find gold, you master its production. In very mundane readings, this is the magnate, the tycoon, somebody who is able to translate the esoteric into something that is highly profitable, that is financially successful and productive for yourself. The 4 tarot queens in the SKT Revelation are 4 shields. You'll always see the shield, so it's a protective power. The 4 shields, always designated by a detailed shield of protection front and center and the starburst around the shield, leap out of the deck when there is danger and you need to be protected. I did something a little bit differently here with the queens or the shields as well, because again, this is about that active energy that's going to leap out of the deck in a manner of a figurative speak that will protect and safeguard and shield you and produce a sanctuary, dare I say, a safe space for you when you need it the most. So when shields come up, it's because something's going on around you that the deck senses, in a manner of speaking, that poses a danger or threat to you. So proactively, a shield card will be forced out of the deck into your reading to protect you. That's when a talisman card will pop out of the deck to be there and give you a sanctuary to keep you safe while that crazy tornado of energy passes through. So you, again, it's to mitigate damage. The golden shield, a sanctum of splendor, when you need protection to mitigate damages that might be done because of some crazy external forces coming through that could bring jeopardy to your career or matters relating to your creative projects, or again, enterprise and career matters, professional matters. This card will protect you from any of that kind of energy. The Ivory shield, Sanctum of the Immaculate, protect you from physical harm. This is to protect your health and well-being, or to give you a space to heal. That healing, by the way, can be either or both. Physical healing, physical health, and also mental health. That's very important to remember. It can be related to mental health and mental well-being, emotional well-being as well. The Scarlet shield to protect you from some kind of a more intentional attack on you, maybe a psychic attack. This will come up and protect you from that. The court cards in the SKT, the Empyrean Court, I call it the Empyrean Court because I want to indicate that they represent a spiritual court, not a physical embodiment. So they never represent how people appear physically, the face that people show. They always represent people internally, the sort of essence that is coming through. We can have the conversation about critical social commentary, but the reality is someone, anyone at all, I don't care how you physically present at all, if you are opinionated, if you speak sharp truths, if you offend, if you intimidate with your domineering presence, if you take up too much space, if you intellectualize everything, then no matter how you physically present, that energy that that comes across, that persona, is considered more masculine. So, for example, that's the reason for the Queen of Swords card. We all know what sort of the textbook card meaning is for the Queen of Swords. I didn't use a feminine presenting figure. It's actually a more masculine presenting figure, because no matter how you physically look, what your face looks like, if you embody the Queen of Swords, that energy will be masculinized. Again, using social constructs, and we can have the critical commentary at some future point. the Ebony shield in the event of economic crises or things that could affect your personal economics or personal financial situation. This card is a sanctuary to protect your assets, to protect your resources, and to mitigate damage in the event something happens.
The Queen of Orbs, that's the suit of pentacles, coins, discs, gives you sanctuary in her palace, and this place becomes almost like a developmental space for you to regroup, plan, strategize, figure out exactly what it is you want to do in terms of something related to finances, business, or even assets and liabilities.
The 4 knights, or the 4 shining ones, the angelic virtues, represent the active elementals. These are active elemental powers. Anytime a knight comes up, just think action required. The cards are saying action required. Yo, there's something that you need to do. Pay attention. When one of those action required knight cards show up that say pay attention, that means the surrounding cards, the message that I'm receiving is the purpose, is explaining what the purpose of this reading is. It's saying action required. We are telling you, you need to do something. This is, in a sense, out of the divine's hands. They've done what they can. Now it's about willpower. You need to take it to the finish line.
Knights always feature that septagon with the elemental symbol, fire, water, air, and earth, and the mythical spirit associated with the element, salamander, undine, sylph or fairy, and gnome. When a knight shows up, you have been tasked to undertake a mission. Action required. After your reading, you gotta go do something, finish a task that the universe has specifically called on you to complete. The shining flame tells you to accelerate on what you're passionate about, persist against any resistance, resist fear of failure, do not retreat, be bold. The shining waters is telling you, permit your soul to be visible, sublimate, alchemize what was negative into something beautiful, poetic, and positive. The Shining Gale is about raising arms and fighting back. Powers have provoked you. Enough is enough. Strike back, but do so ever mindful of the strategic art of war. This card in the Revelation deck, by the way, is deeply personal and has a few layers of memoir to it. The Shining Quarry is about chivalry and honor. Be the one that the weaker can rely on for strength. Do what's responsible, your moral obligation to dependence.
The 4 heralds, the 4 messenger cards, all feature a scroll front and center bottom. Herald cards are all angelic messengers. They come as an emissary of a greater, you can say an archetype or an inner archetype, an inner facet of who you are, an inner facet of the God image that's trying to come through, but can't come through directly just yet. It needs some form of a broker or intermediary first, so that's what the herald represents. They bear packets of information from the unconscious that need to get through to the conscious mind, but for whatever reason, there are barriers right now, and they sense those barriers, so only the messenger can come through, just kind of knock on your door and say, hey, knock, knock, are you ready for the message? If so, then the rest can come through, which is why since SKT first edition, I've always said that when one of these herald or the tarot page cards come up, because they are strictly messenger, emissary, broker, intermediary, mediator type cards, it's an invitation to pull an additional card. Why would you need a messenger card? What's the idea behind that? Why don't you just pull a card directly? Why aren't the direct messages coming through? I see this as indicating that like I said, the situation is a little more specialized, more nuanced, more difficult to solve on your own than you might realize. So if a direct message came through, the concept here is you wouldn't get it anyway. And so a messenger has to come through to broker that message. And so the 4 heralds are kind of that representation of some kind of an intermediary to safely carry important messages from your unconscious into your conscious mind. And then it kind of prepares you first, like it preps you. And after it preps you, when you feel like you're ready, you pull that additional card from the deck, and that's the message from God, Goddess. That's the message from divine, from your inner God image.
Heralds, or the tarot pages, are easy to spot by the scrolls front and center, bottom of the cards. They are laying that scroll, that message at your feet and asking, Do you want to know more? Are you ready? Prepare yourself. You weren't ready before. This is your chance to get ready. Of course, each individual herald or page card also has its own designated meaning. When you are a light that has yet to shine, the herald of the flame shows up to awaken your brilliance. When you don't yet realize an extraordinary ability of yours, one gifted to you so that you might heal the world, the herald of the waters will come to inspire. When you are feeling timid and afraid, too insecure to take the leap of faith, the herald of the winds comes to push you forward and bless you with courage. When spirit doesn't feel comfortable in the shell of its body, when abilities lay dormant due to inactivity, the herald of the earth comes to rededicate you to your path.
Finally, straight out of the box, you might have noticed that the order is the major arcana, the aces, twos, and threes, because aces, twos, and threes in the minor arcana represent that upper realm in the minor arcana. They are more high concept. And then you get into the Empyrean Court, the Archangels, shields, the shining ones, and the heralds are like smack in the center, right? Before you get to the fours through tens, the lower realm of the minor arcana. It's kind of following the harmony of spheres. It represents Empyrea in the 8 spheres of the cosmos from Renaissance thinking. And they represent that intermediary place between the unconscious, the collective, and the personal unconscious, using Jungian language, and the conscious mind, what you are fully aware of. And so that's why the court cards are messengers, but they also represent aspects of the inner self. They are inherited archetypes. And they help to clarify readings. They give readings a very definitive sense of direction. King cards, Archangel cards that show up. Okay, lots of power, lots of force, lots of activated power. You are a master of something. You are achieving an exalted state. The shield cards, oh crap, something is happening. We need to protect, we need to shield. Let's form around you a womb of some kind, that nurturing energy that we often talk about with tarot queens, so that you can do what you got to do in a way that's protected and safeguarded. Knights, when they show up, the shining ones, active elementals. This is like work emails for those, at the office politics. You know how sometimes you get work emails and it comes with that little flag that says action required? So this is what it's like. It's getting a memo that says, hey, pay attention, action required. You need to do something after this. So that's what happens when the shining ones show up in a reading. Tarot pages, the heralds, just remember they're messenger cards. That's the reason front and center is that scroll. They come bearing a scroll. And so they're saying, okay, you have a message, but do you want the message? You have to consent to the message. You have to take an initiative step to open up that packet of information from the unconscious. And the reason is because this is a little more specialized. This is a message coming directly from the divine. It's a message coming from a particular god or goddess. I use that religious language, but there is a psychological equivalent to that. It's the concept of a particular archetype within that needs to come to the surface to occupy your persona, the face that you present to the world, so that you can achieve what it is you want to achieve. It's saying there's a particular archetype that needs to come through. There's a barrier right now, something blocking that archetype from coming through from the unconscious into the conscious. So the herald shows up with that packet of information, holding the scroll and saying, you want to see what this is? The idea is to invite you to pull an additional card. The additional card you pull from the deck is going to be the message from the divine, a representation of a god or goddess, or the representation of a particular inner archetype.
We often talk about tarot court cards as personalities, and in the SKT, we take that to the next level and characterize them as spirit entities. This is powerful magic. The Empyrean Court gives you access to the archetypes within your unconscious, or as I like to put it, they are spirit guides empowered to go above and beyond in beneficent ways and much invited ways that endow you with blessings and to give you psychic protection. These are talismans invoking the old gods.